So what we have today is a Fender Deluxe. It's actually a Hotrod Deluxe, probably made a little after 2000 sometime. I don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out exactly when some amp is made unless it has to be specific to a specific circuit. But this one does not. It's actually in pretty good shape. So this one's in here because the reverb does not work. This amp is listed at 40 watts. It has a couple of 6L6 GCs in it. That is a 12-inch Eminence speaker. I don't know the exact model of it, but I know it says Fender, but it's not. It's made by Eminence. Some of these actually came with Celestions in it too, depending on the year and the model. We're going to tie into it and figure out why this reverb doesn't work. When I picked this up at the music store, the shop owner there showed me that the reverb did not work, so I didn't really need to test it out. So I unplugged the tank and took the tank out of one of my old Fender amps and plugged it in, and it worked fine. So that kind of means there's a lot of extra searching around and diagnosis that I do not have to do. The problem is the tank. So in this tank, this is the bad one. You can check these pretty easily by just getting your own meter and seeing if you've got continuity through those little yellow inductors. They're just coils. And this, I forgot what it was, 58 or so. And the one on the other end should be much higher. And a lot of times, because these things are always moving around and stuff, those little tiny wires could break too. So I'm testing the other coil, and it just reads wide open. So what I also do, just to make sure it isn't those wires, is pull that little plug off and check the connections going straight to the inductor, and same problem. So what that means is this is a bad tank. There's no reason to fool around with those little inductors. This tank is 30 bucks. Probably 35 with shipping. So that's what I'm going to recommend to the owners. Just replace the tank. So while I'm waiting for parts, I'm going to go ahead and check the bias on this. We'll flip the switch. The 2 meters on the right are going to show plate current, and then I'll test the plate voltage with that meter on the left. You've got my arm in the way, so you can't see what the plate voltage is. I think it's about 416 is what it is. Should have put the meter in a place where you could see it, but I'm not a great videographer. So I'm going to call that fairly well balanced. We got one at probably around 29 and one 27.5, maybe right in there. And that seems a little low for 6L6s. So I'm going to write that down, then I'm going to do a little math. So I let it warm up a little bit longer, and we got about 29 milliamps and something a little bit less on the other side. I'm going to go with the 29, and we're going to run that number. And let's see, we're going to get 12 watts. So we're actually biased pretty cold, less than 50%. The 6L6 GC can handle 30 watts of plate dissipation, so we're well below that. It may be the way the guy wants it. I don't know. A lot of people bias cold. The tubes last forever when you do it that way. And it is a 40-watt amp, so it'll put out some noise. Maybe the guy just uses this in his living room or something, Doesn't need all that wattage. So we'll check with him before we mess with the bias, because that, like I said, it may be the way he wants it. So I have the output hooked into my dummy load, and I have a signal going in 350 hertz at about 150 millivolts, and we're going to take a look at the waveform, which does look pretty good. No crossover distortion. And right when it starts to break up, I'm getting about 17 volts headed out to the speaker. So we're going to get the calculator out and see what kind of power he's getting out of this, the way it's set up. So we had 17 volts going to the speakers, or actually my dummy load, and into the scope. So you multiply 17 times itself, and you divide by the resistance, which in this case is 10, and he's running about 29 watts. Actually, the dummy load is about 8.5 ohms, which means that the output wattage is a little higher than that 28.9. It's probably around 33, 34. Well, the reverb tank got here a day early, so I'm going to go ahead and put it all back together and do a little demo. I'm going to be using my phone, and the sound on that thing sounds like it's on a phaser or something, so the amp doesn't really sound that way, but I just want to show you that the reverb is working. I got to come up with a better way to do that. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.